Let's see call by reference technique. Okay. So this is second parameter passing technique. Again, let me assume that two actual parameters, two formal parameters. Let's say actual parameters are a comma b, formal parameters are x comma y. Now I am explaining working principle of call by reference. In call by reference scheme, what happens is this is this is we know that caller here it is calling. In caller, whenever you call that method, then a value will be passed to x, b value will be passed to y, let's say. That is assumption. Okay, such a way if you write the syntax. So by simply, probably in any programming language, this will be the syntax like this. You will be calling like this a comma b with method name, whatever the method name. Then here, if your method body is written as like this, something like x comma y, so based on the order, like so this order will be matched to this order in any programming language generally, then easily we can identify parameters, right, like actual parameters and their corresponding formal parameters. Now in call by reference scheme, what happens is actually we send the references. That means, so whenever I say that a is corresponding to x, then x actually gets the reference of a. Okay, now b gets reference of y. It's like references. That means now whenever x knows the reference of a, y knows the reference of b. Example, these two are memory addresses. References are addresses. Example, memory box a value is, that means address of that a is 100, address of b is 200. Probably x and y will somehow know that a is at 100, b is at 200. Okay, now what happens, we'll see. After that, whenever this method begins and whenever you update x, like x plus plus or anything, what happens is, okay, so don't worry about syntax. It's not about syntax. Okay, I am blindly assuming that I am implementing call by reference. Okay, so for that, whenever this x is modified, then automatically a will be modified. That means content of a will be modified. And whenever you modify y through the reference, because since y knows the reference, then b will be modified immediately. Okay, so in that way, so for every modification of x and y, a and b will get affected. This concept is called call by reference. Okay, so we'll see the major difference between call by value and call by reference. In call by value, we maintain separate copies of a comma b and we modified them. But here in call by reference, we are directly modifying a comma b through remembering the references of a comma b. Okay, so I can say that call by reference is very difficult. I mean, difficult to implement. The reason, we have to maintain the references and we have to access them every time. Okay, that means generally in computer organization, like in computer terminology, when you have a memory address, directly accessing it will be good, like it will be faster. But what, there is one more addressing mode called indirect addressing mode. Generally we use for pointers. So using indirect addressing mode, if you access anything, then generally it will be little bit slow. Now in call by reference especially, we are coming here, example, whenever you modify x, then we'll take the address of that a and we modify it, right? Then there will be two things, like first of all get the address, go to that address and modify it. So this is called indirect addressing mode, and probably you will be clearly knowing that once I teach you computer organization. At this moment, let's assume that it is pointer mechanism, otherwise indirect addressing mode. So in this indirect addressing mode, probably the instructions will be slower. That's why, so call by reference scheme generally it will be slower if you compare with call by value. Okay, so that's the one thing you should remember about call by reference. Second one, in working principle, if you understand, then these values, actual parameters, will be modified. Okay, so we'll see one example of this call by reference scheme. Okay, so there is a main program and swap program. In main program, a is 3 and b 5, and they are actual parameters, right, a comma b, and formal parameters are x comma y. Let me identify them, x and y, and let me establish relation between this x comma y and a comma b. So a is here 3, b value 5. I'm not executing the program, just identifying the relationships between these parameters. So now I can say that a is linked to x. Okay, so b is linked to y. So by seeing the syntax, I realized it. Now let's execute the code. So first line is over. Second line, swap a comma b. Then we are passing a value to x, B value to Y. That means, what we are passing doesn't matter, like we are passing actually references, right? So that's why what I remember is here, so X knows address of A, Y knows address of B. Okay, now remember one thing, if you implement call by reference, whenever a variable X is modified, then you please modify A, and whenever Y is modified, please modify B. Okay, this is a theoretical idea behind call by reference. Okay, let's do it. X equal to X plus Y. So whenever I do X equal to X plus Y, then X, so X is referring A, right? That's why, so A will be modified. So how A will be modified? So you can imagine that X is referring A, 3 plus Y is referring B, then 3 plus 5, 8. X will become 8, right? But X is referring A, then this A's location will be modified. Next, Y is referring B, remember, then Y equal to X minus Y, Y equal to X, X is referring 8, 8 minus Y, Y is referring at this moment B, B is 5, 8 minus 5, 3, in that way. So whenever Y is modified, B will be modified. Then X equal to X minus Y, if you do, X is actually 8 and Y is 3, 8 minus 3, 5, right? So X is nothing but A. So 5 comma 3. So see, if you observe, A comma B values got modified. But that did not happen in call by value scheme, right? In call by reference scheme, yes, we can modify the values. What's the purpose of call by reference? So call by reference you use if you want to really see the result of the computation. That means really you want to swap these values through another function, then you use call by reference scheme. Okay, but just you want to do computation, but you don't want to update your values, then go for call by value. That's it. Okay, so you want to get your values updated, then go for call by reference. Okay, so this is the second scheme. Let's see the third scheme, call by value result. In call by value result, again same story. There will be actual parameters, there will be formal parameters, let's say X comma Y, and A is linked to, let's say, X assumption, and if B is linked to Y, then it is like initially call by value. First of all, we take the values of A comma B into X comma Y. In that way, it is call by value. Example, A value 3, B value 5, we take them. Okay, that is the first step of establishment of call by value result. After that, we do the logic part. Every method will have a logic part, right? Okay, let's say whenever function begins, then we do the logic part. In that logic part, if X or Y are modified, if you modify X, like 3 is modified to 7, then A is not modified, though it is corresponding to A, since it is like a call by value scheme. So do like a call by value, and if Y is modified, let's modify it, but don't update it. But once method is completely over, then generally in call by value we keep quiet and we continue with the remaining instructions. But in call by value result, what we do is, whatever the final values you get for X comma Y at end of the execution of the method, we pass them back to A comma B. That means take the values and modify. At the end, please supply them back to A comma B. Whatever example, final value of X is 7, write it in corresponding parameter, and Y value, let's say 8, and the corresponding parameter for that is B, then modify it. So this scheme is called call by value result. It looks like call by reference, right? But what's the difference between call by reference and call by value result is, in call by reference, we have references of A comma B directly, and we directly modified A and B for every modification. Try to understand. But in call by value result, we are not modifying them immediately. We are taking local copies and we are modifying them. There may be hundreds of modifications for these parameters. Then we never modify A comma B for that. End of the day, only one time we modified, then it will be efficient than call by reference, right? That means with respect to time. So, but call by reference and call by value result may not give same answer. Okay, we'll see with examples. Like sometimes call by reference and call by value result gives you different answers. Okay, we'll see one example of that. Okay, let's execute some programs under call by value result and call by reference, and we'll try to understand the differences between them. Okay, so it looks like call by reference and call by value result gives same, but not always. We'll see. Take this program and execute it. So control starts here, A value 1, B value 2, then we are passing A comma B to this method and formal parameters are x comma y, then you can understand that x is connected to a, right? So this is box A and box B is connected to y, isn't it? Now initially a value 1, b value 2, control starts here, let's say. Then next control comes here, then we are passing a b values to x comma y, then start x equal to x plus 2, then first I am doing call by reference, okay. Now x equal to x plus 2, whenever x is modified, corresponding a should be modified, then 1 plus 2 is 3, then a equal to, what is a here? There is no a in this method, that means a is not local variable, a is global variable, so that is this one, a. That's a problem, you see. So a is actually argument, otherwise actual parameter for something, and at the same time a is global parameter. That's the reason you get a different answer for call by reference and call by value result. We'll see. Since it is global variable, we have to modify it. We can access it, and a equal to x star y. What is x comma y? X is a, y is b. Then 3 star to 6. 6 will be updated in a. Then a gets 6. Then x equal to x plus 1. What is x? X is mapped to a and a plus 1, right? 7. Now what is value of a once this method is over? So go to global variable a, and that is nothing but 7. So 7 will be printed if you use call by reference. We'll execute this program using call by value result. Okay. So in call by value result, what happens, we'll see. So in call by value result, for a there will be a corresponding parameter x, for b corresponding parameter is y, isn't it? So initially we pass the values, right? A's value will be passed to x, b value will be passed to y, 1 comma 2. Then we come here, x equal to x plus 2. Whenever x is modified, only x will be modified, not a, right? That's why we can imagine separate boxes for a comma b, and a comma b also are having now 1 comma 2. Now when you increment x by 2, then this local copy of x will be modified, 3. Then a equal to x star y. A is a global variable, this will be modified now. It will be x star y. So x is different now, a is different, right? In call by reference, x was referring a, x and a got same values every time. But here sometimes x and a may get different values, that's why you get different answer. So here x value is 3 and y value is, you see, 3, 2, right? 3 to the 6. 6 will be updated at a. Then this will become 6. Then after that, a equal to x star y, then x equal to x plus 1. So you are incrementing x. Then what is x? 3. 3 plus 1, 4. So now program is done. Then close this method. Once method is over, you know the technique of call by value result. All the corresponding parameters to be dumped to the actual parameters. That means 4 will be updated here, and y value will be updated at b. That will be 2. So final value of a, if you use call by value result, will be a value is what? 4. So that is the difference between call by reference and call by value result. The reason number 1 where you get different answer is if one actual parameter also is a global value, and if you refer that global value, okay, then definitely you get different answers, right? Let's see one more example of call by value result. So here we are going to take one more program, and I want to compare call by reference and call by value result. Let's begin with call by reference. Okay. So control comes here first, main. After that you see this method call. Here x is actual parameter of a, right? That means the relation between x comma a is in call by reference. A is a reference and a is referring x. This is the way you should remember, right? Okay. Now since x is global variable, so it will contain a value 1. Now we are at here. Print x. Before that we have to execute f of x, right? Let's execute f of x. When I execute f of x, then control comes here, a equal to 2. So here a is formal parameter, then whenever you update it, automatically corresponding actual parameter will be updated. That is what call by reference scheme. Then x equal to 0. This is not part of call by reference logic. It's just some modification in any program. Since x is not a variable of this method, then we have to see scoping rules. Let's say assume static scoping. In static scoping, if you don't see x in this method, we go to the next block. Since there is no block, then we'll come to here and we take global variable. You know it, right? That's why that global variable will be updated to 0, right? Now what I want to say is, so whatever the modification you did here, that is lost now, right? Next, method is over, then come back and print x. So what will be printed? X equal to 0. So this is output of call by reference scheme. Let's see call by value result. Okay, in call by value result, what happens, we'll see. Call by value result. Let's begin here. Initially, what is the relationship between a comma x in call by value result? X and a are two different copies. Okay, so here initially x value 1 and a is the corresponding parameter for x. So they are linked like this. Now it is a separate copy. Initially, whenever you call f of x, then a gets value of x, then that is nothing but 1. Now control comes here, a equal to 2. Since a is formal parameter, whenever you update a, it is call by value result scheme, x is not updated. That is what the principle of call by value result. Then go to the next line, x equal to 0. Since x is just global value, then when you update it, it will be updated 0. Okay, next. So now you can see the differences. A and x actually, corresponding parameters, but they are having different values. But in call by reference, since a is just reference of x, always a comma x will have same values. That is the difference you can see. Because of that, you might get different outputs. Now method is done. Once method is done, in call by value result, what we do? Think about it. Recall, in call by value result, immediately that corresponding formal parameters value, which is a's value, will be replaced in corresponding actual parameter. That means these two will be transferred here. So x will become 2, right? Then method is done. Come here and print x. Then what will be printed? The final value of x is 2. So that's why call by reference and call by value result might give different answers, right? So 0, 2. This is about programs with call by value and call by reference and call by value result.